Ladies and gentlemen, I'm meadsy69. Welcome back to the channel. Now, a couple of days ago, we had a look at the Object 268 version 4, talking about just how strong this tank is. And because I own the tank and other people own the tank, why is there a reason to play the Object 268? So today we are going to look at the Object 268 because it is still a brilliant tank. It's a fantastic tank that can perform really well, still popular among the community, especially those that don't own the Object 268 version 4, and we're going to just have watch a couple of games in the tank and just show that it still has it and it can still perform. So the Object 268, the top of the tier Russian tank destroyer. Now the best thing about this tank, it is a TD, it's got nice pen, and to be honest, the armor is kind of troll as well. So you've got 195 millimeters on the front of your plate. Obviously it is not anywhere near the Object 268 version 4, but you can still get troll bounces. You can't really rely on the armor, but you can still get the troll bounces on this thing. So the DPM 2,775, so that is with me running calibrated shells rather than the rammer. So if you do want to run the rammer, you're going to get an extra 200 DPM, so that'll pump it up to 2,900. So yeah, I mean it can still do its job. It's still got not bad DPM for what it is, but I would probably run it with I would run it with calibrated shells by all means, because the pen is much better. So you have, with the calibrated shells, you do have standard 318 pen. 318 is very good standard, but your heat with calibrated shells is 418. That gives it, that is pretty much one of the best, if not the best pen in the game. The one that's close to it, you could say, is the Jaegeru, which, let's have a look. If you're running that with calibrated shells, you could get that to 418, so pretty much the same. So yeah, very good very good heat pen with calibrated shells. 418, you're going to get through just about anything with that. Also, you have 99 HE pen, which is pretty good as well. So your standard average damage is 670 on your AP, 570 on your heat, and 1000 on your HE. So of course, if you can get your HE out, make sure you do that, because that will give you some nice damage. The aim time is 4.1 and the dispersion 0.344. You have 7 degrees of gun depression. You have 7 degrees of gun depression and a top speed of 48 kilometers per hour. So yeah, it's a nice tank. It is a nice tank. It's always been a nice tank. It's always been a popular tank for everybody. The whole line has been a popular tank, and it can still perform. It's just unfortunate people like me don't really play the tank anymore, because I own the Object 268 version 4, which I just think is much better. The only thing with this, it is quite a quick tank, to be honest. It can get around the map pretty quickly, and as I've said before, you can get that troll, the troll bounces on the armor profile, on the armor as well. So how do I play this tank? Now, unlike the Object 268 version 4, I don't play it as aggressive, because as I've said, it doesn't quite have that armor profile. I normally just sit at the back. Normally I do sit at the back, and it's the same with the whole line. The Object 704, I sit at the back. And of course, when you're on maps like this, you do need to be careful, because they're all flat ground. There's no camping spots really, but yeah, just sit behind your team. You need to sit behind your team and then support them, because at the end of the day, like later on in the game, you do have that speed that you can get to positions very or a lot quicker than most. So you can see here him turning around to help the WZ-121. Overall, I don't think he needed to help him. The 121 maybe would have been able to take out the object there, but here comes the Death Star. Now this is unfortunate. It's nobody's fault there. He did go behind him to kill the Object 907. wasn't aware at that time that there was a Death Star coming around. So that was unfortunate. No one's fault really, because the 121 wasn't able to get away from the Death Star. So now this side of the map, he is one-on-one versus the Death Star. So he has taken a shot on the Death Star, so the Death Star has lost some hit points, and you can see here he's going to go in for the shot. The Death Star misses, and he has the Death Star now over the reload. So he's managed to take this guy out without losing a single hit point, and for some reason he's still got the heat loaded. Maybe he just wants to guarantee the pen. I don't know, maybe he's got heat loaded accidentally, or maybe just wants to use heat because he wants to guarantee, you know, 400 plus pen, but he now has since switched back to the AP. So currently he has bounced a shot. He's on 390 block damage. He's on 2.9k damage. It is now a 4 versus 4. Nice shot there into the T57, and it brings it down to a 4 versus 3. However, he's still full hit points. Now I like what he's doing here. Whilst he's on a reload, he is capping the base just to put a little bit more pressure on the enemy team. All 3 tanks around there, they've all got good amount of hit points, and they could actually push, and probably they should push. They should share the hit points, push these guys, and they would have been able to take them out pretty easily. But of course there is now an Object 268 coming from their side, so they have to start pushing. But at this point in the game, if they start pushing, they're going to have the Object 268 coming behind. So he gets a few nice shots here into the VK, pushes his damage now up to 5,000 damage, and as he's on the reload, he is now trying to get behind these guys whilst they are pushing. So he's done a great job at the moment, especially with that Death Star. I think that has definitely changed the outcome of this game, pushing the Death Star, or even the Death Star going around. You know, that I don't know why the Death Star went with the Object, or maybe he tried getting behind the team. Obviously with the Hesh, he would have been able to do a lot more damage, but yeah, it turned out that he wasn't in the greatest of positions, or even not even that. The Death Star done all right. It just turned out that our guy here decided to push back and help his team, and that was very, very important. So now, because he is full hit points, he's just pushing into these guys. He's going to take the attention of these 2 guys, so the other 2 people on his team can focus and hopefully stay alive. So there goes the Jaegeroo, just one more tank left alive, and unfortunately he literally half a second. If he would have shot half a second sooner, he would have finished with over 7k damage. But nevertheless, 6.5k damage. He does only block 1 shot, but a well-deserved ace. And again, that is the tank on open ground. You know, that's the tank with no camping spots or anything like that. But this tank really does do well on the camping side as well, and personally that is how I like to play this tank. I don't really like to push front line because, you know, you've got decent pen, you've got very, very good pen. You do have the armor that you can get the troll bounces, but not the kind of armor where you can comfortably go front line. So do pay attention to that, and do remember that, like, some people will go front line, and I'd advise you not to, but if you do go front line, just sit behind your team. Don't be the first one there. This guy is just literally listened to what I've said and said, Meadsy, F you, I'm going front line. And yeah, he's going to get himself into a good position, however, but he does get spotted straight away. And again, this is what I mean, like, you do get a bounce, but also you can get penned, just like we see there. We see a pen, and then we see a bounce as well. So in all fairness, I wouldn't be in this position, but he's hold down, he can get some bounces, but he doesn't quite have that gun depression to aim at these weak points, and he still managed to block 860 damage. Now, being a frontline tank, or trying to go front line, this is something definitely I wouldn't do if I was in the Death Star that is right here. I mean, frontline in a Death Star is not a wise choice, and as I've said, it's also not a wise choice for the Object 268, because at the moment there's no one around him, like on his team, apart from the Death Star. So there's 2 tanks that are both frontline that shouldn't be frontline. However, that was a beautiful shot, and that's where the higher HE pen, the 100 or 99 millimeters of HE HE pen does come in handy. That is a side of a Kranvagn doing almost 1,000 damage. So now it is 1 tank down for the enemy team, and he's now on 2.4k damage. And because no one's really looking at him at the moment, he is able to get some shots off. And again, this is another map. This is another map where, depending on what the team do, there isn't really too many campy spots in this map. But he now has the T30. He's just going to wait. He's going to get the pen and a 797 alpha into him, and that was a nice roll with AP. So 3.8k damage. While we're watching this game, if you haven't grinded this line, like, it definitely is worth grinding. Like, just because there is the Object 268 4, it doesn't mean that this tank isn't worth grinding. Of course, any line, any tier 10 out there is worth grinding. So when people say, say any YouTuber says it's not worth grinding, it's not worth this, it's not worth that, any tier 10 out there is worth grinding. Any tier 10, doesn't matter. Even the E4 is worth grinding. It's a good grind, especially when you get to the T30. It does make it a lot better. So there is no tier 10s out there that isn't worth grinding. So and this is one of them as well. It's definitely worth grinding. The line is okay. It's not that fun until you get to the Object 704, and to be honest, now even the Object 704 isn't the best of tanks. There's better tank destroyers out there. It doesn't have any armor whatsoever, unlike the Object 268, which has the troll armor. The Object 704 is not really the same as on the same level as the Object 268. But as I've said at the beginning, I'd advise you not to go front line. I mean, this guy, it works for him only because of the enemy team and their positions and the positioning of his team distracting them. He is able to pick up a lot of damage. But so far, it's a 4 versus 3. There are a couple of one-shots. So the Jaegeru there is a one-shot. He's going to try to aim at the hatch, or sorry, at the side cheeks, but no, he gets a nice shot on the bottom plate, and he does take him out for his second kill, just leaving 2 tanks left. The Bat Chat and a Motion, which is full hit points. So there's the Bat Chat. He's got the HE loaded. Beautiful, nice shot there, and that now is 6,400 damage, and still left on the field is pretty much a full hit point Motion. So yeah, he's going to push this Motion, and as I've said, with the armor profile, he's still balanced 860. I mean, that's not a lot considering it's tier 10. That's 2 shots, but it's still, for a tank destroyer with not the best of armor profiles, it's still decent. And there we go with another bounce from the Motion. So now the Motion is basically a one-shot, almost a one-shot. He goes for the little ram, 690. Can he high roll this guy? He's got the AP. I mean, look at this. You can pen the front no problem whatsoever with that AP. He gets the kill, and his 4th kill. So 1,300 block damage, and he also ends on 8,600 damage. So yeah, it's definitely still a nice tank. It's just unfortunate that I don't play it as much now because I don't see any reason to, not when I've got the Object 268 4. Other people will probably enjoy this more than the Object 268. It's a bit quicker, it can get around the map a lot easier, it's got more pen, so you might enjoy this more than the Object 268 version 4, but personally I don't play it now because of that Object 268 version 4. So let me know your thoughts on the Object 268. Is it still a tank that you love to play? It's definitely balanced. It's a nice tank. It's got there's good things about it, there's not too many bad things about it, but yeah, it's just a shame really. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, guys. I'm meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.